tissues. All right. The first one is areolar connective tissue. Another name for this is loose connective tissue. When we say loose or dense, we're referring to how closely situated the fibers are. If the fibers are packed one on top of the other, it's dense connective tissue. If the fibers are separated like we see here, it's considered loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue in general is more easily pulled apart. It's more easily dissected. For instance, when you dissected the dog, there was loose connective tissue that tethered the trachea to the esophagus. And yet you could use blunt dissection, just separating your fingers, pulling your fingers apart, you could separate the tissue. So with loose connective tissue, you don't need a scalpel, you don't need to perform sharp dissection to pull it apart. Whereas with dense connective tissue, you would. Now, the loose connective tissue that you have on your slide is stretched, okay? It's specially processed. In real life, in tissue, it's not stretched. So we're gonna see loose connective tissue, for instance, just deep to the epidermal layer of the skin. And it doesn't look exactly like this. This is stretched so you can see the individual fibers. It also uses multiple stains. It uses an H&E type component so you can see the collagen fibers, which are these thicker fibers that are eosinophilic, light pink in stain. And then these other fibers here that are more curvilinear, these are elastic fibers. Areolar connective tissue also contains reticular fibers, but you can't see them. They're not picking up stain. Most of the cells that you see here, these are actually nuclei of fibroblasts. Where you see space, keep in mind that in real life, this represents ground substance. That's kind of filling in the gaps. So if I show you a section of stretched areolar tissue or loose connective tissue, it should be easy to recognize. If I show you loose connective tissue as part of a lamina propria, okay, you might have to think twice. It's not going to look exactly like that. Now, you have a slide of mesentery. Mesentery is from the peritoneal cavity. And that loose connective tissue that supports the mesentery has mast cells. So look at that slide and see if you can find any mast cells in addition to fibroblasts.
Dr. Finner,
Yes.
as far as loose and dense connective tissue, like I know you said loose and kind of have a lot more spaces. Is it possible that you could have, like, for the dense connective tissue, would you have like artifact that will create kind of space and
No, you shouldn't. Or if there is artifact, you should recognize it.
okay.
Now, part of the problem I know with the mask is that when you look through the microscope, does it fog things up? Yeah. So you may have to pull it down just a little bit. I get it. This is a small class, so I think of this as like a little bubble, where as long as everyone keeps themselves safe outside the class, we're not going to have any problems.
Definitely see some mast cells. And some fibroblasts. Dr. Benner,
Yes.
on this slide, can you come tell me what's at the tip of the arrow? It looks like there's something else in the structure or maybe artifacts.
Okay, so that's what you're having on this slide. The mast cells have kind of broken down a little bit. You're not seeing the cell membrane. Okay, but those are mast cells. You can kind of make out where the outline of the cell membrane should be because the granules are still contained.
cell.
So 1 second. What's that?